Shabbos, everyone. This week's Parsha is out of Bamidbar. Parshas Bamidbar, we have a census of Klal Yisrael. Also, we have the tribes being divided up into 4 sections, east, south, west, north, in which they would encamp surrounding the tabernacle. The tabernacle would be in the middle. And the pasuk tells us that Hashem says to Moshe, Ish al diglai, each man will dwell within that area in which he has the flag of his tribe, ba'oisais leves avoisam, the signs of their father's house, which means of their tribe. Yachnu b'nei Yisrael, this is how they shall encamp. In the Medrash, it tells us that when Klal Yisrael was at Sinai, they reached a very high level. They had a perception of the divine, and they were able to sense the existence of angels. They saw angels, that which the eye cannot ordinarily sense. And they recognized and saw that the angels were surrounding the divine presence. Nobody could see Hashem. Hashem doesn't have any image, but there was a source of a radiance, which was the divine presence. And the angels, seemed to be in camps surrounding this. And Klal Yisrael saw this. And when they saw it, they became envious. They said, this is what we want. We want to be able to encamp ourselves where the focal point is that of God himself, the divine presence. And Hashem says to Moshe, Klal Yisrael had a sincere desire for something which is so worthy. Tell them that indeed, now that we have the tabernacle, we shall organize and arrange by the census each person what tribe they belong to, as determined by their father. The tribal affiliation is determined by patrilineal, religion determined by matrilineal. And they shall dwell with that tribe. Where? Where are they going to dwell? This one, we're going to say the east, west. No, Hashem says they will dwell where they have the signs of their fathers. What does that mean, the signs of their fathers? So in the Medrash, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, Hashem will organize the tribes, that's fine. But then if I say to a tribe, you're going to be in the south, there might be those who say, no, we want to be in the north. Others say, we want to be in the west. It'll be chaos. They won't listen to me. Hashem said, don't worry, because the direction that they are instructed to occupy will be the same direction that their ancestor Yaakov indicated. When Yaakov was on his deathbed, he said to his sons, when you carry me to Israel and you are to bury me in Hebron, in the Maras Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah, this is how I want you to do it. I want Yehudi, Yisachar, and Zevulun to be on the east. I want Reuven, Shimon, and Gad to be in the south. I want Ephraim, Menashe, and Binyamin to be in the west. I want Dan, Asher, and Naphtali, that they will be in the north. And this who Klal Yisrael heard this from their father, the holy sacred patriarch Yaakov. They did as they were instructed. And therefore Hashem says to Moshe that now when Klal Yisrael hears that you're going to arrange this camp according to the sign from their father's household, meaning not just the sign of their tribe, but as Rashi tells us, the sign that Yaakov organized and arranged by his burial. Klal Yisrael will say, this is exactly what Yaakov told us. This is our place. This is where we should be. No one will quarrel. And indeed, that's what happened. What is amazing over here is that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to Hashem, Hashem, if I say to Klal Yisrael, you have to be in the east, you have to be in the west, they're going to disagree. They won't listen to me. They're not going to listen to Moshe? First of all, who are we talking about? We're talking about the children of Israel. We're talking about those who witnessed and experienced all the plagues, the exodus of Egypt, the miracles of the splitting of the sea, eating and surviving from man that fell from heaven, being entrenched in a desert in which their thirst was quenched by water that came out of a rock that traveled with them. They were protected and enveloped by clouds of glory. We're not talking about ordinary people. We're talking about Klal Yisrael that experienced all of these miracles. Klal Yisrael who stood at Sinai, who said in unison, Nasa v'nishma, we will listen to what Hashem says. We accept 100% upon our bodies and souls the will of God, his Torah. Klal Yisrael thereby was able to have perceptions of that which the human eye cannot see. They saw angels. They heard the voice emanating from God. They heard the 10 commandments. The angels came and placed crowns on their heads. This is who we're talking about. Moshe says they won't listen to me. And not only that, who is it they won't listen to? They're not going to listen to Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Av Hanaviyim, the father, the greatest of all prophets who ever lived. Moshe Rabbeinu, the instrument that God chose that the miracles, the plague should be performed in Egypt, the splitting of the sea. Moshe Rabbeinu, who existed on Sinai 40 days, 40 nights on 3 separate occasions without food and water. Moshe transcended human limitations and he ascended to a level of being angelic. Moshe Rabbeinu, who has taught us Torah, who interceded on our behalf when we faltered and we sinned with the golden calf, and Moshe was there to bring us up and inspire us and reconnect us with Hashem. We're not going to listen to Moshe? Who are you that we should listen? You say I should be on the east? No, I think I should be on the west. What are we talking about? We see some remarkable things. Rabbi Lapian expounds and he says, we see remarkable things. A person can be brilliant. A person can be righteous. A person can have wisdom. A person can have elements of prophecy. But that doesn't guarantee that their Yetzer Hara has been conquered. The evil inclination continues to exist. And even a person who had reached the greatest heights, nevertheless, can fall and can have personal interests that cause their mind to be confused and overlook the fact that they are hearing instruction from God's chosen emissary, his prophet Moshe Rabbeinu, the Eved Hashem, the servant of God, the Yeshu Elokim, the godly man, as the Torah says. We can lose sight of that because we are bribed by our own desires and interests. And a person could say, I like to be in the West. I don't want the East. But Moshe is telling you this. Yeah, but I don't hear it. And maybe Moshe is not perfect either. This is human nature. No matter how great a person is, the Yetzer Hara is always there, and the greater a person is, the greater their Yetzer Hara. No one should ever think, well, I've reached a point in my life, I'm comfortable, and I don't have to worry about distractions. Those distractions are always there, and the Yetzer Hara is relentless. He never gives up and knows exactly what buttons to push. So how do we combat this Yetzer Hara? If we see that Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned about this, and Hashem didn't say to Moshe, oh, Moshe, you're overreacting, there's no concern. He didn't say that. He said, should someone question your instructions, tell him these are the directions, these are the signs where your father Yaakov decided you should be. We see that Hashem said, you have a point, Moshe. Here's the answer. If indeed the evil inclination is so strong that it can entrap anyone, how indeed do we overcome it? The answer is the signs, the directions that were determined by our ancestors. There might be those who the Yetzer Hara says, I know Moshe is saying this, but you should really be in the east, not the west. But once we hear that this is what our ancestors determined, this is what Yaakov said, this is where we should be, then we submit ourselves. This is what my father, my grandfather, this is my family tradition. That's how we overcome the Yetzer Hara. Family, tradition, respect for our elders. This is what Hashem is showing Moshe. Those who might question you, Moshe Rabbeinu, they're questioning Das Torah. They're questioning God's chosen prophet. But when they have respect for their ancestors and parents, and they hear that this is the way we do it, the Yetzer Hara is destroyed. We see this also when Yaakov was being confronted by Esau when he was returning from Lavan. So it says Yaakov was very concerned about Esau, the personification of the evil inclination. And he was very concerned, who knows what Esau will perpetrate, and especially Esau's evil eye, his ayin hara. So what did Yaakov do? He took the children and put them with their mothers. He put Leah with her 6 sons. He took Rachel with her 2 sons, Bilhah with her 2 sons, and Zilpah with her 2 sons. And they each came together as family. When Yaakov went in front of them, when we remain as a family unit, and there is respect for our elders and their ideals, Esau is silent. No evil eye, no ayin hara. The evil inclination is removed. That's what Yaakov was showing us then, and that's what Hashem said to Moshe. The greatest person can have an enormous Yetzer Hara. But when we think about our family, our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, our way of life, who we are, what we are, this is how we remain focused. We have so many distractions today, so much to confuse us and corrupt proper thought, that we can quarrel with simple statements that we find that we've taken for granted in our Torah and our observance in our Jewish way of life. How do we combat this? Respect. Respect for parents, respect for grandparents, respect for our ancestors, respect for their way of life, respect for who we are, our Torah. This is what enables us to think clearly and remove the distractions. That's our filter. May the Almighty give us a strength that we should truly reflect on the gift of having parents and grandparents, the gift of having such a magnificent heritage in our Torah. And may this enable us that we should remain loyal and faithful and silence the accuser, the evil inclination. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbat.